Oh man, what's up, y'all? What's up? Carlos here. Today on the channel, we're gonna be watching a video and we're gonna be reacting to this video. This video is Oompaville. That's the YouTube channel. It's a really good channel. It has like 5 million subscribers, probably almost 6. I don't know, but yeah, make sure you guys give this guy a follow, man. He makes some really good videos. And today, the video is about the insane Vatican conspiracies rabbit hole. We're gonna react to this video. We're gonna see what's up. I always wanted to learn things about the Vatican. You know, them Vaticans, they're always hiding stuff. They got so much stuff hiding in there they don't want to tell us about. So we'll see what happens inside the Vatican in Rome. You know, them popes are sneaky, sneaky little devils.
Imagine I'm an artifact in the Vatican behind hundreds of miles of locked doors.
The smallest country on Earth houses the oldest continuously operating institution and guards priceless treasures beyond miles of locked doors. And the area sits upon what was once Nero's circus, where early Christians were martyred. That's not very funny. We're talking about the Vatican. There's a lot of theories and a lot of conspiracies that I've been seeing wash up, and I figured, you know, the little smoke coming out the thing, we had a new pope, you know, let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the craziest stuff that's been going on behind the closed doors of the Vatican. There's a lot of wild stuff, though. It's a beautiful building. Look at it. Wow.
Yeah, dude, my whole life I've heard that the Vatican hides like everything. You know, that there's so many like historic things, artifacts, writing, books, like things that the whole world could use, and if we had them, we would have like a better understanding of history and things that happen around the world. But the Vatican is hiding it. Sometimes it's because they want to suppress information. Sometimes it's because if we had that stuff, it would change our thoughts on the Catholic Church. And some things they just think is holy and sacred to them, and they don't want nobody to like dirty their holy things. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's get into this.
I don't know anything about the Vatican. Even if the Vatican harbored no secrets, it would still be an enigma wrapped in a cassock, aka a full-length garment of a single color worn by certain Christian clergy, members of church, choirs, acolytes, and others. What if I was the first YouTuber to wear a cassock for every video?
Dude, I have one of those outfits. I should have wore that for this video. Where is it? I have it somewhere. I have it right here. I should have put that on for this video.
What if I was the first YouTuber to ask publicly if God is supposed to feel like a distant concept or a living presence? What if the ornate walls of the Vatican hide something truly extraordinary? Today we're going to be asking the big questions. We're going to be talking about everything from JD Vance to aliens. Not them, but to aliens. We're going to be talking about aliens, like this guy, this little fella right here, the Holy Relic. Praise be. Just kidding. We do not venerate false idols. All right, I shall begin us with the fact that conspiracies are not exactly a new thing in regard to the Vatican, but things definitely hit an inflection point when Miley Cyrus was on her first Wrecking Ball tour. In February of 2013, Pope Benedict XV1, I think that's 16, shocked the world by announcing his resignation, which was the first voluntary papal resignation in 700 years. Write that down! It was an unprecedented break with tradition that opened floodgates to new theories about what might be going on in the hallowed halls of the Vatican. And that could be surprising, could be not surprising. I'm relatively new to Vatican stuff. I've just recently been looking into it. I don't know a lot about the Vatican, so the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 billion Catholics out there, go ahead and school me down below. But make sure you watch the ads first, all right? The Vatican spans 109 acres, houses 825 citizens behind walls, guarded by men in wacky uniforms carrying halberds. It prints its own money, has its own license plates, and maintains diplomatic relations with 183 other countries, despite being smaller than golf courses and like a lot of farms that are right beside me where I live in rural Texas. By the way, there's 195 countries. So having relationships with 183 is having relationships with all the ones that matter, all right? What countries do you not have relationships with, Vatican?
Dude, low key, the Vatican, I think, controls the world. I'm serious. You talk about the shadow government, like the Knights Templar and stuff like that. Dude, let's talk about the Vatican. They have connections with every government, every leader of every government. Yeah, they got a lot of pull in this world, dude. They control stuff.
Six Flags? Oh, Somalia? That's kind of fucked up. The Vatican archives stretch back 12 centuries, and its bank operates under unique sovereign relations, which doesn't seem like it should be legal. And beneath the floors of the Vatican, I mentioned Nero's circus, lies a pre-Christian necropolis. Ancient Rome. So many old secrets beneath their feet. It's important to note that there's a difference between the ancient Vatican area and the more modern Vatican City as we know it today, which it dates back to 1929 when the Lateran Treaty between the Holy See and Italy formally established it as a sovereign state. But like we said, 12 centuries. Real old. The ground beneath St. Peter's Basilica was once the site of Emperor Nero's circus, which was a chariot racing stadium. That's sick. And according to tradition, countless Christians were tortured and executed following the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE, which is very bad and not sick. So all that being said, remember it, put it in your head, use it to paint a backdrop to the conspiracy theories that we are about to flourish in this video. All right, guys? Martyrdom, political patronage, artistic importance, and religious authority, and awesome outfits. Now, because...
Dude, do you know how many people the Catholic Church killed during like the Inquisition and stuff like that? They like killed and burned people alive. And I don't know if you guys have seen a TV show on Netflix about like the Knights Templar and stuff like that. You guys should watch it. That stuff is cool. I love this stuff.
Because I'm an idiot, the first section we're going to be talking about is the Vatican shadow government and banking ties.
Ugh, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get into this. How deep can this rabbit hole? The rabbit hole goes deeper, I promise. How does Kendrick Lamar say it? The rabbit hole go deeper, I promise. Whatever he says.
This one's going to get me hanging from a bridge with bricks in my pocket and $13,000 of various currencies in my wallet. That actually happened. We're going to talk about that. On June 18th, 1982, a London banker spotted something dangling beneath Blackfriars Bridge. It was Roberto Calvi, a chairman of Banco Ambrosiano, dubbed God's banker for his Vatican ties. This man hung from a noose with 5 bricks stuffed in his pockets and exactly $14,000 in 3 different currencies in his wallet. It was $14,000, not $13,000. I said $13,000 a moment ago. So how the f did a middle-aged bankers, not
Never do math on camera. Never. That was a rule a professor gave me.
known for their physical prowess, also middle-aged people, not known for their physical prowess, hoist himself over
Hey, I'm middle-aged, I think. And I got pretty good physicals.
bridge railing with pockets full of bricks. Authorities initially ruled it as suicide, but in combination with the bizarre physical circumstances, there was bizarre symbolic circumstances. It was the Blackfriars Bridge. Their traditional attire matches that of Dominican priests, and more significantly, his death came precisely as Banco Ambrosiano collapsed with the Vatican Bank as its main shareholder and $1.3 billion missing through phantom loans to shell companies, most of which were controlled directly by the Vatican's Institute for Works of Religion. Ah, crap.
You guys know how much money the Vatican has? Just think of the giant temple and everything inside of it being made of gold. Plus, you have the money to control the world. Yeah, I'm sure the Vatican has billions.
Dang it! When forensic investigators finally examined the evidence a decade later, they discovered that Calvi's hands had no brick dust, despite supposedly handling bricks, and his necktie showed no signs of rope fibers that would have been present if he had actually hanged himself. The verdict eventually changed to murder, but the 5 folks that were eventually tried in Rome were all acquitted, despite multiple witnesses placing them with Calvi shortly before his death. So, you know, I guess take the L, Calvi. I don't know. That doesn't seem fair. It seems insanely corrupt. The case connects directly to Propaganda Due, aka P2, which is a Masonic lodge operating as a state within a state in Italy. On March 17, 1981, Italian police raided the villa of P2's worshipful master Licio Gelli, discovering what investigators would call a shadow government. Membership lists named 962 prominent Italians, including 43 parliamentarians, military generals, intelligence chiefs, and media moguls. And former P2 member Francesco Di Carlo later testified that Calvi was killed because he had taken money from the mafia and the Vatican that was for other purposes. Dude, of course. Of course. The bricks in the coat thing, I mean, that's mob shit anyways. What the fuck? At the center of the web was Archbishop Paul Marcinkus.
None of this surprises anybody, dude. The Vatican is corrupt as F.
A 6'4" American who ran the Vatican.
Allegedly. Everything here is alleged. I have no clue about any of this stuff. I live in California, and the Vatican is on the other side of the world, and I've never been there. So this is all allegedly, by the way. I have no clue. It's just a crazy comedian talking stupid shit.
Vatican Bank from 1971 to 1989, America! And when questioned about financial improprieties, Marcinkus infamously declared,
Oh, by the way, this year, the new Pope is from, is it Chicago? Are you serious? Yeah, this is about to get way more corrupt. With the Pope being from the US and from Chicago, come on, dog.
"You can't run the church on Hail Marys." I love that, dude. That's a good one. This statement became his epitaph in conspiracy circles, to be honest. That reminds me, join the Gump Club. because you can't run the church on Hail Marys. Go to gump.club to watch behind-the-scenes epic footage and uncensored videos. It's pretty cool. It also supports the channel. Go to gump.club. Italian prosecutors tried to indict him multiple times, but Marcinkus remained protected within the Vatican walls using his diplomatic immunity to avoid prosecution until his mysterious death in 2006.
Mysterious.
He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the back of the head. He didn't actually. That was a lie.
You know how everybody shoots himself in the back of the head when they commit suicide? It's so easy.
I don't know what happens when there's shadow governments. A bunch of powerful people get in charge. You have control over a lot of people. The Catholic Church basically and implicitly has control over a lot of people. If you just say like, hey, give me a bunch of money for the church, you know, so we can keep these artifacts and stuff, and we can read this note from Henry VIII. People will give you a lot of money if you ask. Catholic Church, kind of like the original YouTube, the original influencer group. In 2013, Pope Francis implemented reforms and closed 5,000 suspicious accounts and established a new level of financial oversight for the church. This next part in regard to the shadow government is very insane, so try your best to keep up, because this was a lot of research and this was confusing to me, but also it makes sense in the end. The Vatican's financial network extends through the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, the SMOM, which is an entity granted sovereignty despite controlling no territory. They're called the Knights, and the Knights maintain diplomatic relations with 112 countries. They issue their
Oh God, the Knights Templar.
own passports and operate
Supposedly they don't exist anymore, so these are supposed to be not the Knights Templar.
diplomatic pouches that cannot be searched or sieged by any government. It is
This is like Illuminati shit. Like it's all connected. Don't.
dramatically unusual. No other entity in the world possesses such privileges without controlling actual sovereign territory. So this is like the CIA within the CIA. Speaking of the CIA, former CIA operative E. Howard Hunt admitted in his memoir that the Knights of Malta provided perfect cover for intelligence operations. For example, the Knights' diplomatic status was recognized even by Iron Curtain countries during the Cold War, and it made them ideal for unofficial couriers. What Hunt didn't mention in his memoir was the order's direct Vatican supervision through the Cardinal Patron, currently Cardinal Silvano Maria Tomasi, who reports directly to the Pope, the new Pope. And according to investigative journalist David Yallop, the Knights function as the Vatican's intelligence arm, with particular focus on financial operations too sensitive for official channels, and their diplomatic immunity allows them to move people, documents, and assets across borders without scrutiny, which creates what intelligence professionals call perfect cutouts for deniable operations. These guys are elite. The Knights of Malta are elite as f. I had no idea what they were. I've never even heard of them before researching for this video. Even more central to Vatican power is the Society of Jesus, aka the Jesuits. Probably heard of them. Their superior general is known as the Black Pope due to his black clerical attire and alleged shadow authority. The Darth Pope, before becoming Pope Francis.
That reminds me of Elon Musk when he was next to Donald Trump with the Make America Great hat, and it's black, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Doc MAGA. I guess I'm Doc MAGA."
George Bergoglio, our last pope, was a Jesuit, the first ever to ascend to the papacy in the order's 450-year history. This fact raised alarm among Vatican observers who understood the significance of merging these previously separate power centers. The Jesuits themselves, their structure mimics intelligence agency structure. They're highly compartmentalized, with members swearing extraordinary oaths of obedience to the cause. Charles Chinquay, once a Catholic priest, published the Jesuits' extreme oath of induction, which includes the pledge, "I will secretly use the poison cup, the strangulation cord, and the steel poniard, or the leaden bullet, regardless of honor, rank, dignity, or authority." Now, Catholic authorities do dismiss this oath as a fabrication, that's important to note, but the Jesuits' documented history of political involvement, I would say, speaks for itself. Through their global network of 189 universities and thousands of schools in 112 countries, they shape political and economic thought worldwide. Some graduates of the Jesuits include both Bill Clinton and Fidel Castro, two sides of the same coin, I guess. World Bank presidents are also included in there, and revolutionary leaders. So we have examples of basically every political perspective sharing Jesuit formation.
Dude, they could appoint presidents and dethrone kings. Like, dang, bro. Like, they're connected everywhere, inside of everything.
A long time, and until the early 20th century, the Vatican did have a formal intelligence service called the Entity, or Sodalitium Pianum. The Entity, by the way.
Entity? Like a alien? No. Entity is more like a demon, right? Like a spirit, like when you're possessed by an entity. Dum.
Crazy name for an intelligence service. It was officially disbanded in 1921, but intelligence experts contend that it didn't vanish, and it just went underground and became even more secretive. Because why would you disband that? I mean, let's be real, especially with all this other information we've got. So yeah, consider the implications. They are absolutely staggering. A sovereign entity with no meaningful territory controls a banking system outside international oversight and operates a diplomatic corps with global reach and maintains a sovereign military order with diplomatic immunity and commands a religious order with educational institutions worldwide. Plus, they answer to virtually no outside authority. Now, that's pretty crazy, guys. I've got to say, that's pretty crazy.
Dude, you have your own banks, your own like police, your own basically city, but the city is really like it feels its own nation. You have like your own CIA. You have all these things. Plus, you have a connection to like every government, every major government out there. You have people within those governments, and you have nobody that could oversee what you do and nobody to tell you what to do. Like, come on, y'all.
So a lot of the conspiracies, they seem more valid
Warranted.
when you look at it from that perspective, in my
Yes.
opinion. And no offense, by the way, Catholicism, I know a bunch of Catholics that are really cool people. We're
Yeah.
all Christians at the end of the day.
Sure.
But the institution, the nation, right? That's where the problem lies, generally, in this kind of thing. For example, being an American is really cool. I love America. I love the idea of America. I love the Constitution. I love our founding fathers. I love aspects of the history of this country. I love being an American, and I would never resign from that. But it's very important to, acknowledge that some people are really evil. And just because they're a part of something you really like a lot doesn't mean that they're not evil. I don't know. What do I know? Nothing. This next section is about the secret archives of the Vatican, which is the fact that they have secret archives is kind of a misnomer, honestly. I was going to say it's crazy, but it's actually not even really that wild. But we'll get into it. It is very wild. I'm just kidding. I'm not very good at making people watch my videos for very long. I'm sorry. On October 22nd, 2019, Pope Francis announced the Vatican's secret archives would henceforth be known as the Vatican Apostolic Archives. What was the reason? The Latin word secretum originally meant private or personal. These were supposed to be the Pope's personal archives, but in modern languages, the word secret had taken on connotations of hidden or concealed information.
Exactly, which they do hide and conceal information, and they do have secret information, secret books, secret writing, secret everything.
Something bad. Secret. It's a secret.
Dude, they let nobody go in there and look at these books, these writings, this library that they have. Nobody can go in there. You have to be like a highly like famous, highly acclaimed researcher with like ties to like politicians that can back you and vouch for you, and you got to get like approved and like background check, and there's only certain places you can go, only certain things you can see. You can't even do whatever you want in there, like look at everything. No.
Secret. I have to know your secret. They changed the name to reduce misunderstanding, but like Elon Musk changing the name of Twitter to X, nobody gives a nobody's using the name X yet. Well, some bootlickers are.
Nobody.
But let's be real, bootlickers can suck it.
Yeah,
there is a
nobody
lot
calls
of
it X.
unabated conspiracy theories in regard to what lurks within the Vatican secret archives. A lot. The archives contain approximately 53 miles of shelving in climate-controlled bunkers, housing documents spanning 12 centuries. Among the confirmed treasures are Henry VIII's letter requesting annulment from Catherine of Aragon in 1530, complete with the signatures of 85 English noblemen, Galileo's trial documents from 1633, and letters from Michelangelo complaining about payment for the Sistine Chapel. Because he's in Turbo. He was very talented. He designed all this shit. He made this thing. This famous thing with the fingers touching it. He's a famous sculptor, artist, just all-around good guy. Most of the archives contain administrative documents, appointments, correspondence, and financial records. Boring nonsense shit. There is theories that there are some more exotic contents. There is a claim, which I love, of this thing called the chronovisor, which exists in the Vatican. It is a device allegedly developed in the 1950s by Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a Benedictine monk with advanced musical training and expertise in quantum physics. Because that makes sense. Guys like a Dr. Parkenstein, but in the 50s, and for the Catholic Church. The machine, the chronovisor, resembles a television with a series of cathode ray tubes, antennas, and dials. It purportedly allows viewers to witness any event in human history by tuning into residual electromagnetic radiation that all events leave behind, essentially capturing light and sound waves that can—
Dude, this guy made a time machine. Oh God, and they have it hidden inside the Vatican. Come on, disclosure. Let us in. I want to, get a camera crew in there. Let's look at this stuff. I'm sure it's not all tax records and like and IOUs in there. There's some really interesting stuff written in there and some cool books that'll probably debunk a bunch of stuff that is known throughout the world,
continue to resonate throughout time. So it's like this television.
Allegedly, like I said at the beginning, I do not know any of this stuff.
It's like if
I'm guessing
they came up with a TV. Some guy first saw a TV and he's like, you know what? you could probably not only tune into channels, but also to events of time. Pretty much. Father Ernetti claimed an extraordinary team collaborated on this project, the Chronovisor.
That's a cool name,
That's
dude.
my impression of the Chronovisor. Let me watch the cavemen. Wow, they're so dumb. This doors. And the air
Chrono means time. Visor means to see. So to see different points of time. That's cool.
The Vatican has never officially denied the Chronovisor's existence, and that makes it one of the most interesting, curious, compelling things in regard to all of it. You could just say, no, it's not real. Of course it's not real. TV.
Take it out.
What the f? Come on, make me a Vatican spokesperson. People already think I'm like a CIA asset or a Vatican spokesperson. They already think that I'm a what is it called? A psyop?
A psyop.
Or a plant.
Yeah.
I want all this stuff to be real.
Yes.
I literally do. You have no idea. Now, a more grounded theory, but also absolutely wild, suggests the archives contain evidence that Jesus married Mary Magdalene and had children, which is a claim that was popularized by Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, and that claim originated in a book from 1982 called The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail. According to this theory, Jesus had kids with Mary, and those kids fled to France and integrated with the ruling class there. Now, that information is important and relevant because in 2001, Barbara Frail, a paleographer, found the Chinon parchment. I don't know if that's how you say it. The Chinon parchment? I don't know. It was a long-lost document showing Pope Clement V secretly absolving the Knights Templar of heresy charges in 1308, which is crazy because if you're the Pope and you're like the main guy just below the other people who are more spiritual and don't exist physically, and you're absolving the Knights Templar in 1308, who are the keepers of this secret that invalidate everything you allegedly stand for, that's kind of weird. And even absolving the Knights Templar in general, I mean, they deny Christ. That's like one of the reasons that they were called heretics in the first place. Plus inappropriate carnal relations and obscene kissing of the penis. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. A little more grounded than the Chronovisor, to be honest. A lot of people also don't know that you can just...
Yeah, there's rumors that they used to go at it with each other. But anyway, I'm not going to watch the rest of this video on this video because I want you guys to go to Oompaville YouTube channel, subscribe, like, and watch the video. If you want to watch the rest of the video, you can watch it there. I'm only going to watch half of it here because I want you guys to go and support this person because he makes amazing videos. I'm going to watch the rest of this on my own, not recording it. But with what we saw right now, you could already see where this is going, dude. Like, the Vatican is hiding stuff. They have too much power. They have stuff that they don't share with anybody. And there's just a bunch of conspiracies, and there's always going to be conspiracies because they're never going to give out any of this information. They're never going to fully disclose all these things because I think it would destroy the Catholic religion probably.